and I don't know why my brain isn't working. So I wanted to take a quick look at my custom lockdown. He's obviously the Age of Extinction mold. Um, I think in this mode he looks fantastic. Obviously, it's kind of weird how he has no windows, but the main problem with this figure was the fact that he transforms into a very short bot that doesn't quite have the aesthetic of the movie depiction. So I did some customizing. He's going to be taller, and look just a little more movie accurate. He's not going to have those long gorilla arms. I'll get these accessories out of the way. There's going to be a claw hand that he has that can peg into his hand. This is made from a Dark of the Moon Barricade's mech tech weapon. We'll talk about that more later. This is one of his battle targeting masks. This is from a Creon. All I did was carve and glue a tab to the inside that will now tab into the top of his head in the same spot that the gun does. And I also used an animated activator's bumblebee head, and I'm kind of in the middle of this one still. Just because I really like the shape of this, I still got to do a little paint work to it, but it's going to be a bit of a darker mask, and I'm going to do some distressing work. This one will simply clip onto his head. I dremeled out the inside so that it'll clip onto his face. So we'll put that aside. As far as the gun goes, just a little paint detail work, a little silver on the projectile, a little bit of green on the targeting tips, a little bit of amber, gold, black, just to, give it a little better look than the plain plastic. As far as the car mode, not a lot to talk about. Obviously, I've removed the Decepticon symbols. He's not a Decepticon. I was thinking of painting the windows and the body of the car, but I kind of don't mind the way this looks. It's a unique color. You don't see it all the time. Obviously, it was a little darker than this in the movie. So I was thinking about it, but really there's not a lot of collision of plastic in this transformation, so you wouldn't have paint rub if you did. Again, up to you. I just, basically put some graphite black in the exhaust there. I painted the brake pads and rotors. We'll see if I can get the light in there to see that. But those are done on front and back. I'll try to point those out again later. I did put some graphite black on the tires. It just makes the rims kind of shine and pop a little better. Makes them stand out a little bit from the plain plastic of the tires. And you'll see a couple of black pieces inside the window there. Those are kind of just frictioned in for now. Those are going to be heel spurs. You'll see those pop out during transformation. Those are going to also help increase his height. Let's do a little bit of comparison just so you can see. I'm going to get this up a bit because he's going to be one of the smaller of the bunch, as he should be in this mode. Here he is with Ratchet. This is Revenge of the Fallen Ratchet. Again, I did some little touches of paint, but nothing serious to Ratchet there. I use him because he's the bigger of the deluxes. I believe when it comes to scale, everything should be deluxe, and basically the leaders should be Megatron, Sentinel, Optimus. Everyone else should be deluxe class. As far as I'm concerned, we'll talk more about that. Let's get Ratchet out. Just for the heck of it, here's Evasion Prime. Some people might say that this looks like so okay of a scale, but I think that, these tires, I go by tires a lot. They should be bigger. I think this mode should be bigger. I wish I had my leader Prime. He's boxed up and unavailable to me right now. I'll be bringing out Sentinel a little later just to compare him with Sentinel though, because that's the only leader I have at hand right now. You can see that this gets a little closer. This is the Galvatron mold. This gets a little closer when it comes to scale. I still believe it could be bigger though, a little bit bigger. This is a Lamborghini. They're not tall. I swear, if you were sitting in one of these Lamborghinis in a semi trailer or anything rolled up, the tires would look about as tall as your car. And we'll see that again when I bring out Sentinel. Um, so basically, I think that this guy is the right size if you're using your leaders properly for your scaling. The problem with him was, again, how short he was when you transform him. So let's get him transformed. So to transform this guy, you want to pull out these bumper sections and the arms. You're going to see those heel spurs fall out. So let's get rid of those. These will simply pivot around to the wheels. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this before, but I want to just kind of show this to show you that these modifications that you're going to see soon do not affect the fact that you can still transform them in the old way. If you want to go back 180 and get rid of everything you did, you can still use them the same old way. But I doubt you will if you do these modifications. I'd put some amber on the inside of his arms there, which I think is kind of cool. You would notice in the movie he has some amber in there, and it just kind of, kind of makes him look a little more movie-ish. Put a little bit of amber on those knees as well. Bring down these legs. This whole hood section will kind of bring itself back once you untab it. Do a 180 on the head section. Now, I'm just going to get those feet ready. Again, I'm not going into a lot of detail. I'm sure everyone kind of knows how this works. The chest section kind of comes back and folds into the back of him. Let me just make sure I'm keeping this camera high enough. And then the back section all kind of folds up. I never really understood what this extra fold was for. If anyone could tell me, please let me know. I really don't know, because I believe it just goes flat to his back. And then what's going to happen is you're going to have that tab into the window. And you're going to have this tab here go into his spine-ish area. Now, once those are all plugged in, he's a pretty solid little guy. But again, you can see my problems with him. His arms go to his kneecaps, which is kind of absurd. So just to show you how annoying the height is as well, here is a high octane Bumblebee. He is taller than Lockdown. And that's not just not right. Obviously, he's a small car, so it's tough, but there's some pretty simple modifications that got him taller. So let's get rid of Bumblebutt. Basically what was done was some carving to the hips there. And what had to happen was I had to pull off the wheel. I'll show you. You just pull off the wheel. And you carve that hip down to just above the brake pad. And what that allows you to do is flip the legs around. Now you can also carve some of the meat off that post that's connecting the two hips. I like my bot standing in a bit of an A stance, so I don't mind it. But you can see that the tires collide with that, so you can't have the legs totally straight unless you do some carving there, which you could do if you'd like. I didn't bother. Let me just get this tab back together. Now, that alone adds height, which is great, but it doesn't add a ton of height. It's considerable, though. You know what? And in fact, probably shouldn't have put Bumblebee away. Let me get Bumblebee back out. So now he's taller than Bumblebee. Just with that simple mod, which is great. That's a good start. But I also did the heel spurs. And what you have to do for that is, and there's a lot of hollow space in the bottom of these feet, so you could pin something in. I like some of my mods to, be reversible. So what I did is I just fashioned some plastic that I had around, and I made it so that it could tab in to that hole there. So I'm going to tab those guys in. And you'll notice, even if you check out some of the movie stuff, the way Lockdown's feet were, they weren't exactly just flat to the ground. But basically, I tab in those 2 heel spurs now. And you still have your ankle movement and articulation. But now you're getting a much taller Lockdown. How tall, you ask? Here's Ratchet again. He's now taller than Ratchet, who is a Revenge of the Fallen movie bot. As you know, Revenge of the Fallen made some pretty tall bots. So I love the fact that he's taller than him. He still looks cool. You do lose a bit of articulation. His knees now only bend that far back. I don't see too many reasons that you'd need him to have bend back much further. But again, you could simply just flip everything around and have your normal situation with your normal articulation if you needed to. Again, this isn't really causing anything permanent except for a touch less plastic on the hips there. I'll also point out that a lot of people will, because these kind of peg in just behind the chest, for aesthetics. They just fan these out a bit. I don't like to go too far, then you see a lot of the blue plastic. But now we have Lockdown in a slightly more agreeable mode. And like I said, now his hands are not touching his knees, which is an important part of the actual carving modification. Because even if we didn't do that and we made his feet taller, his hands would still look quite low. Let's get rid of Ratchet. I want to show him with some other bots. Let's get in 2 primes. If you check out in the movie, actually, Optimus, he's a leggy dude. Let me just say it that way. He's a very leggy dude. There's one scene where Lockdown and him are scrapping, and Lockdown, honestly, he looks like, when they kind of level off in distance, he looks like he's just about to his waist. Now, Optimus Prime is basically 2/3 legs. His torso is not a lot of his body. You can see there's 1/3, 2/3, the other third, right? So for scale reasons, this should just to show you that the Voyagers aren't right. It still needs to be your leader Optimus. Just to show you again, here is leader Sentinel. I'm gonna have to move up the camera a bit just to show you. Leader Sentinel, depending on how you pose him, is very similar in height and to your leader Optimus from Revenge of the Fallen. So this just gives you an idea. He has a similar small chest, long legs situation. So I would say, even though this is still a bit short for the leader, I still think it's better than having a Voyager Lockdown. Unless they went ahead and made a small Voyager Lockdown. And there he goes. Just for the heck of it too, I'll bring in Flip and Change Lockdown. you could say he's absurdly big. So if you need just for statue's sake and you want to customize a flip and change, I'm sure he could look cool, but I don't think he'll stand beside any other bots and be anywhere near more scale accurate. So let's get rid of flip and change. But yeah, my basic point for the height was that yeah, I don't think that the Voyagers should stand with him. I still think leaders. So you can see that you still have all the attributes. Obviously, I did a little painting, but here's the piece I cut off of that barricade. All you simply do is peg into his hand, and then this will actually, once you've pegged this into his hand, easier said than done today for some reason. So actually clip in to the back, just under that screw port there, which holds it nice and tight in place. That ain't going anywhere. But that gives him his claw hand that he whips around Optimus with, which is pretty cool. Then obviously we can throw the gun in here. Let's put the gun in there. That can obviously still peg into his head if you want the old gun face thing. And last but not least is the masks. Like I said, the one that's still in progress. I like it. It kind of it slightly clips into the top. Let me just try to show you that. It kind of clips into the top of the head and also around the side of the face. So you just kind of pop it on there. Like I said, I'm gonna need to do a little more distressing. It just looks a little too clean. Those are both first coats of paint. So he looks a little too clean, but I just really like the shape of it. It just kind of fits the head real nice. So I really want to make this one work. You'll notice the crayon one has a slightly more unusual shape to it. The crayon one, like I said, just pegs into the top of his head, and you'll hear it pop down. And you have the targeting mask, and that works okay too. I mean, it's not hateful. Let me say that it's not hateful at all. Maybe even with a little more paint on that might get looking cooler. But that's about it. That's my Age of Extinction Deluxe Lockdown. Like I said, it adds actually just over an inch of height, which is a huge deal for such an amazing character in the movie. How could you have your main evil bot, the main bad guy, be so darn tiny? How could he be smaller than Bumblebee? And really all Hasbro had to do was develop some sort of heel spur in the foot and have this post changed inside his body. Do a little extra transformation basically, and you'd have a whole new bot. So anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you later.